Howdy, howdy, folks. Welcome to Babble with Bronies. I am your host. My name is Everlasting Joy. And of course, my co-workers, Twilight is Magic and Mr. Ben. We'd like to thank you all for stopping on by today. We got a really good show for you today. It's a really excited. I've always wanted to interview this guy, and I think now is the best time to do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Vest.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Can everyone hear him okay?
Oh, I hope so. Podcasters, I'm like, I kind of don't want to. And, well, lo and behold, here I am. Not quite a podcast, but a stream nonetheless. And I've wanted to say this for a long time. Hi, bronies! Waves enthusiastically.
Hang on. Okay, they can hear us. Good.
Yeah.
I think there was a bit of an internet derp there. Anyway, folks, before we get to the interview, of course, we've got some announcements to make, and I knew that's what I was forgetting. I forgot what the Brony State movies of this week are, so I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to just bring the website up, and I'm just going to do the movies right away here. So for this week, with special regards to Mr. Ben here, our A movie for this coming Friday, that would be the 4th of October. Yeah, can you believe it's October already? That's
Yeah, I can totally believe it. And in fact, I gotta say that I'm glad these months are just flying by because November 28th doesn't look so far away anymore.
ain't that the truth.
Season 4, come on, bring it on.
Anyway, our A movies for this week are Batman, the 1989 movie. Good one. I hope you guys stop by. That's one worth watching. B movie is Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Pony 1 is Dragon Shy, and Pony 2 is Hearts and Hooves Day. So stop on by this Friday, the 4th of October, at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for the premiere movie night. There's also a Saturday encore at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for all of our European viewers. So, stop on by and hope to see you there. And the only other bit of news that I have, let me bring this up for you, Vest.
Alrighty.
Did you see this little link earlier in the week? TV Guide magazine did a quick listing of the 60 greatest cartoons of all time.
Yeah, why is that not ponies up at the front? Come on.
Oh, now you're just what do I want to say? Hold on.
I'm expecting pony up top. What are these yellow-looking people with the bald guy and the spiky hair? Why are they bipedal and have 4 fingers?
Hey, they did say that in about 1,000 years they will get that 5th finger one day. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there for you, everyone. MLP is not even 5 years old and it's already on this list. I think that really does say something.
Yeah, I'm looking at a lot of this list, and it's a whole bunch of classics and a whole bunch of stuff that everyone seems to love and will be cherished forever, as well as drawn together.
Yeah. I think the only reason that one's
I'm
on there, though,
I'm a little bit confused why that's on there because it's not quite legendary television. It's kind of more of a guilty pleasure of mine.
it's probably because Tara Strong's in it, as in just because she's in it.
Tara Strong is it.
Well, true. Actually, he probably did. Okay, fair enough.
It's actually quite an interesting list that they have right here. A couple of the other ones that really stand out that seem a little bit odd. Bob's Burgers, for starters. In the last 2 weeks, that thing has seemed to just shoot up to the forefront of the internet hive mind.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I used to watch it, and every time I'd ask people about it, they'd be like, "Oh, what's that? Is that show that's after Family Guy that nobody watches?" And it's like, well, yeah, but But now everyone seems to have suddenly noticed it magically, and apparently the effect has been felt up at the higher ups. The fourth season of Bob's Burgers hasn't even started yet, and they have already renewed it for a fifth.
Wow.
So, yeah, outside of ponies, that's my other favorite cartoon show of all time right now.
Shall we move on?
Absolutely.
All right, we've only got 5 bits of art this week, folks, and that's it. But I wanted to intentionally keep it a bit light. We've got 2 comics for you, Vest. So I hope you said you wanted to do comics, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've got my high-pitched voice ready.
Well, isn't that great?
I think it's going to be dainty. We're just going to expand the virtues of friendship.
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 Quick question: do you want to be in the call as Toxic Mario joins us for his moment?
Oh, is he in the stream right now?
I don't think he's in the stream, but he is going to be in the I did promise him to call him. So I can either hang up and bring him in, or I can keep you in and just have him on his part.
We could do a group chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you? And there we go.
Oh, look who has joined the fray.
Hopefully, if he doesn't answer, we will. If he doesn't answer, then we will just.
Then we'll just do it without him.
That's the word I was looking for.
Like, fine, if you don't want to be a part of this, then we'll just voice your characters in voices that you don't like. Oh, is that him? Oh.
Give him a couple more seconds.
I heard a beep and it threw me off.
Beep. Try this one. I'll try calling him again. I'm not trying to delay anything, folks. I'm just only trying to fulfill my end of the bargain.
While we wait for him, shall we get the other comic going?
You know what? Let's do that.
Alrighty.
Do you want a Well, he didn't make a comic this week. His won't be finished until like tomorrow, we said, or something. But I do have.
We didn't pressure him hard enough.
So which one do you want? Do you want a comic first or just an art piece first?
Oh, let's get started with a comic.
Okay. All right. Let's go with. I know I am not in the audience, so let's go with that first. This one is titled A Friendly Game. Hope this one's the comic. I swear Oh, here's the link for you.
Alrighty. Got it right now from iamnot.deviantart.com. This is a image.
I can't remember which one was the comic outside of... Maybe I didn't add that one. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Well, I'm looking at this image that you have posted right now. Don't know if you have posted it in the Brony State chat yet.
I have. They're looking at it.
They are looking at it right now. Well, this is kind of the stuff that, as an artist, this is what I strive for. Like a really good way to frame and stage the characters in a scene. And what I find really interesting with what this artist did was the very distinct white outlines around the edges of the characters, but only on the inner side.
Mm-hmm.
So it adds a certain level of depth to the scene, and it's a cinematic technique that's widely used by a lot of the high-end directors, especially Steven Spielberg is a guy who does this a lot.
If anything, it makes an interesting highlight to the characters. It makes them stand out amongst the otherwise rather, not somber, but darker, the dimly lit background.
Yeah, and the background has a lot of detail to it as well. So when you have a lot of contrast and texture in the background, you got to do some extra little tricks to make your characters stand out. And this artist did something that's very unconventional, but it works.
Mm-hmm. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yep, and just overall palette and lighting scheme that he has going on there. He does the very popular nowadays orange and blue cyan tones.
Where?
Oh, just all throughout. He's got
Oh,
the blue background and just orange staging it all around. It's a very good distribution of color and light.
complementary colors. Well, complement each other.
Absolutely, that's why they call him that.
Shall we move on?
Yep,
All right.
my little compliments. Contrast is magic.
All right, let's get to we'll do the comic now, folks. And what was it I was going to say? There's a lot of voicing in this one, though, so I hope that at least makes up for some of it. This one
All
is
right.
titled.
We'll distribute up the characters and then we'll bang this one out.
Yeah. This one is titled Spike's Wish by Colt Steel Stallion. I swear I put a second one in. 2, 3. There's your end. There's Spike, Rarity, and Twilight. Who do you want? You can have any two.
I'll take Spike
Okay.
and and I'm looking at how many other lines we have right here. And Rarity. I'll take Spike and Rarity.
Okay. Gosh. I'm so not looking forward to this just because of this mill scene.
Yep. Yep. It's gonna get awkward. Are you ready? Let me zoom in on this here so I can actually read it. Okay. So, Spike's Wish by coltsteelstallion.deviantart.com.
Proceed.
Oh, a falling star! Make a wish, Spike!
Spike, you don't actually believe in that, do you?
Falling stars do grant wishes. I'll prove it to you.
Huh? Who could that be at this hour?
I'm very sorry, but may I spend the night with you? I suddenly felt so lonely and cold at home.
Sure, you can sleep in my bed. I can keep you warm, and Spike can watch us. Doink. Spike! What in Celestia's name did you wish for?
Bum, 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 bum. Wah. I give that one a 10 out of 10. Would read again.
What's funny is he stated, quote, I do have to apologize for this one. Not one of my best jokes, end quote.
Are you kidding me? Such a humble little jerk. Because apparently comment chains lead to hilarity, or so the description says. We talked about Spike being a creepy perv, which is true, by the way, which is why I relate to him so well. Spike is best pony and best dog.
Well, you know, if you say Spike is best pony, you're only going to get angry people and tomatoes hurled at you, right?
Oh, because the Spike is best dog doesn't?
Good point.
Mm. Well, I guess they just know I'm trolling him at that point.
And that's the point.
Point A.
All right, let's move on.
We probably should. Before this just delves into a deep hole of which there is no recovery.
We'll probably be getting back to it at some point in this interview.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll move on here. Let's go with this next one by KP Shadow Squirrel, titled "A Good Day" It's a Beautiful Day for a Ball Game.
Oh, sweet. I could swear I've seen this one before. I think I saw it being worked on in the live streams a while back.
I saw this one in my inbox, and I just said, this is one I've just got to put on there. I'm not only loving his beach series here, but I like the fact that he's making not only an action scene, but the fact that he's using so many other different characters instead of just like one or two. And some of these harken back to what we have been showing of his, but this one, he's not only using a lot of characters, but he's got a lot of good action with it too.
Hmm. I'm looking at the color usage and the shading style, and it actually looks very much like by himself. He's doing a good job at emulating the style of Andy Price and Heather Breckel on the IDW comic series.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he said that he used that as a reference because it looks really close to it. And when it comes to comic styles, that's pretty much what you should aim for.
Definitely, definitely. And if anything, a lot of his styling though was done before the comics came out. I know I might get into some hot water with this, but I do believe Shadow Squirrel here has been doing this style long before the comics came out. So this might be just his personal style.
Then I should change my analysis to saying that Andy Price and Heather Breckel are totally ripping this guy off. Come on, guys.
A little originality would be nice.
But yeah, he did a really good job on this one.
Definitely.
Very fun scene right there.
And
We bringing on the next one.
Well, that is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. This next one is titled Miss Rarity is Busy by McStallions.
Oh.
By the way, I just love that. I love the name McStallins. It's an oxymoronic portmanteau.
I just like his user icon. It's it's the dejected falcon from the Find a Pet episode.
Mm-hmm. What do you have to say about this piece, though?
I'm still stuck on his icon. It's such a perfect capture of that moment of defeat from that episode. Okay. I'd say it's a very good traditional drawing right there. It's very playful in the way that he has a lot of motion through it between Rarity and the ball of yarn. It looks like she's actually chasing that ball of yarn instead of actually getting her work done.
I find that absolutely adorable myself.
Kind of one of those rare moments of when she thinks she's not being watched, she loses her composure and does things that Opal would do.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cute. You're gonna have me thinking of that icon all day.
Yeah. He's just like, I lost. I know I did.
Oh shit. Alright, let's move on. And last on our list is Inner Fury by Toxic Mario. 1, 2, 3. You want me to try and call him again, just because?
Sure. He is online, isn't he?
Well, yeah, but he's in the, he's probably watching football. Which?
Oh, yeah, we don't stand a chance. It's football season, priorities.
I realize that's his deal, but he asked me to do this anyway, so, I'm only fulfilling my end of the bargain here.
Well, the list of his life goes as follows: sports, tornadoes, Dragon Ball, pony.
That's actually about it.
And that's not to say that pony is pretty low on his list. It's just those other three things are quite monumental.
That I agree with. Given that, he goes to conventions and does his, we love fine stuff and all that fun jazz, to say ponies is low on his list, you're correct. It's not low on his list. It's just happens to be those three things take higher precedence.
It's just that he really does put that much energy into football.
Mm-hmm. Well, then let's comment on this, just you and me, since he's apparently not here.
Alrighty.
The thing that really stuck out to me about this one was partially because of not only the posing that he commented on, but I loved the amount of material he has in the background, the rocks, the energy blast. He really went high, I want to say octane. He went, help me out here, Vest.
It has so much energy.
Thank you. That'll work.
It is just a veritable supernova of motion coming right up in your face grill.
Face grill. He's gotten really good with. I've always loved his apple bloom bow. It's a little bit
Yes.
bigger. It's always just stuck out in a nice way.
And those glow effects and stuff that he's got going on here, he is developing at a frightening rate.
I just hope he keeps going with it because this is one of the fun things I get out of doing my job is watching an artist develop and showing it for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's, if all of a sudden he just becomes some kind of, I don't know, use your imagination here. If he just goes far and beyond anyone's expectations, I want to be there to cover it. And that's not just him, of course. That's anyone.
Yeah, well, we are there right now.
Exactly.
We are covering it. So come on, Talks. Kick some butt so we can have some credence to our words. So that we can say we were there. Because we're kind of here right now. And we can't really hipster about much of anything at the moment. We're depending on you.
I was a fan of Talks before he became a big thing. All right. Any last question or comments on this, Vest?
I just think he did. I love the fact that he's really exploring the color usage, and it's something that he's been communicating with me about every now and then. But he's doing it on his own now so well about getting a very solid division, especially between his sky and his characters and the terrain. Mm-hmm. Just that he has going on there is that he's using a really good color palette to separate it all out. So he's getting a much stronger depth just by his choices that he's using for kind of the purplish rocks against the greenish cyan sky. And so everything separates out, but has a certain level of depth in the scene.
Absolutely.
And this is definitely one of his strongest ones that he's done. I don't think anything is going to surpass the amazingness of the Dragon Ball Z Tom that he did, but this one comes close.
All right.
But it's really unfair to compare anything he does to Dragon Ball Z Tom, because come on.
Well, it is Tom we're talking about here.
Yeah. You can't just take him for granted.
Yes, I did the rim shot there. Probably couldn't hear the first bit.
I appreciate that.
So, let us get this interview proper started.
Alrighty.
For the record, state the name you wish to be addressed by, and your job in the MLP universe.
Oh, in the MLP universe. All right, well then.
I guess I also do want to know your job in the outside universe, but
sounds good.
I'll ask that as a third question.
Okay, well, right off the bat, hey everybody, my name is Vest, and I am a digital artist who occasionally contributes to the My Little Pony fan art community. And I also do a lot of collaborative work between other artists in the fandom. Some of my more recent clients were Citra and Cartoon Lion, as well as Bunnymation is another person who I work with from time to time. So I'm kind of like half collaborator and half digital artist doing my own thing.
What about, okay, carrying on with the first five as I always do. State for me your favorite episode. It can be per season.
Okay, well, favorite episode would, at the current moment, has to be Hurricane Fluttershy. It has been for quite a while. I'm very much a fan of the character dynamics between Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash, and I feel that episode really shows them handling it right, about having a very competitive type A personality, trying her best to motivate and to drive and to push the ultimate type B personality, the very modest and the very, not very confident kind of person. And it shows her own evolution as Rainbow Dash, really growing as a character and finding the right ways to really push her and to motivate her. And it just goes to show that even when Fluttershy thinks all is down and Rainbow Dash decides to go ahead and try it on her own with everyone else without Fluttershy's help, then Fluttershy finds the motivation within herself to go ahead and do it. It's just a really well crafted episode that shows a lot of growth between all the characters.
I can't wait to get to that one. I know everyone is going to have something good to say about that episode. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, to reviewing that one too. And I got to agree with you on a lot of those points.
Yeah, I remember when I was first watching it, I was literally screaming with delight at how amazing it was coming together, and just that climax at the end when it all just pulls together and when they finally get enough wing power to get the water up to Cloudsdale. That was just such a great moment. That was like the Death Star exploding of My Little Pony.
Good wording. So who's your favorite pony from this generation?
It definitely has to be Daring Do.
Nice. How come?
Yeah. Because she's a character that has the luxury of not actually existing, so she doesn't have a determined canon. So I love doing fan art of her because I can come up with crazy, outlandish, very adventurous situations. And I know that a lot of people like to do certain things. And, we were just looking at Toxic Mario stuff. And one thing that Tox and I really love to do is we love to have a really, I want to find a good word for this, a very energetic, very action-driven scene. Whereas people like cute and cuddly and soft. It's like, no, I like moody, dramatic, very action-oriented scenes.
Sure.
And Daring Do opens the door wide open for that kind of a character.
A lot of your pictures reflect that.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I just got to ask, kind of as an admirer of your art, which one of your Daring Do pictures is your favorite?
Well, it has to be the first one I did, which was called Dare. And I'll post a link to it here.
That's the one
in
where
just a second.
That's the one where she's climbing up the wall, correct?
Yeah. And a lot of people jumped on it for the same reason that I like it so much. But another reason why I like it so much is because it actually wasn't supposed to happen like that. That image isn't supposed to exist, really. So I'm just going to post it here in the chat. Just boom, like that.
Excellent. Thank you.
So that Daring Do image should not actually exist because it started out as just a simple background painting exercise that I was doing. I created a couple new brushes. I found a couple references I liked. I wanted to take these new brushes out for a test drive. And then it just kind of built and built and built. And I loved the scene so much that I then came to the realization of, I really want to show this off, but who's going to care? People like me for, when I do coloring of comic covers that were drawn by other people, and here I am with something that I crafted all on my own, and then I realized, throw a pony in it. So that Daring Do was an afterthought. So nothing in there is really supposed to correlate, but I was thinking about it and I was like, this looks like a kind of scene that she would go to. It's very Shangri-La. It has a lot of stuff that you'd expect to see from Indiana Jones or from Uncharted or from Tomb Raider. So it was a perfect fit. And so I decided to do something that I very rarely did, and I drew a pony. And it took a couple attempts before I found something that looked right, but it was just kind of magical the way it all came together. So I love the image because it shouldn't even exist, but it really built up my confidence to see the way people reacted to it. And it stands out in my gallery because most of my gallery is collaborative work with very well-established line artists and inkers and, just other people who do really well on their own in the comics industry. And this one is sincerely 100% my own.
How did people react to it? Let me clarify a little bit. How did both non-bronies and bronies react to this image?
Yeah, very positively from just across the whole spectrum. I did not expect that because whenever I would do pony stuff, people would just be like, yeah, ponies, isn't that my thing? I don't like ponies. Why are you doing ponies? And I recognize that they're fans of mine and they watch me for other reasons, for the other stuff that I do, and that when I do dabble in ponies, it kind of turns them off a little bit. But this one, I didn't get any of that.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got comments from people that I wasn't expecting comments from, like really prominent people in the fandom. It was the image that I distinctly remember is when Sethisto from Equestria Daily added me to his watch list because of this image. And I got comments on it from Sibsy.
Nice.
So that just blew me out of the water. I was just like, oh my god, she knows me.
Cincy, can I have your autograph?
Can I be friends with you? I kind of had to go take a walk around the block so that I could respond to her in a very calm and collected and non-caps lock manner.
Interesting choice of words,
Yeah,
but perhaps appropriate.
I should have had a forewarning because I usually don't get starstruck by things, but oh my god, that took me by surprise.
It would take me by surprise too. So, coolio,
Yeah,
congratulations.
yeah, thank you. It blows my mind that this image was made, God, 9 months ago.
Wow, that
Yeah,
that
feels so.
doesn't seem that long ago.
Yeah, I know. But since then, certainly because of people's positive reactions to it, my own confidence in doing my own stuff has really gone up.
Nice. I kind of want to take a bit of a step back here. You
Absolutely.
said you're a professional comic artist, color.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? What do you do? Well, what does
Uh,
that all? Be
sure. Well,
specific is what I'm asking.
all right. Well, I am a freelance comic artist. I'm not employed by any single company. I just jump around between whoever offers me work. So I'm not technically an employee of any one major comic company. I just, take what I'm handed and do my best with it. And if they like what they get, then I usually get a few more pieces of work from them and gives me a nice steady stream of stuff to do on the weekends and in my evenings.
Nice.
And
Go ahead.
it was one of the things that started out as a hobby. I originally did it just to develop my proficiency with Photoshop, but it was back in the mid 2000s when I was actually at art school and somebody in my color theory class saw what I was doing and he needed a colorist for his comic, and this was the guy who got me started. So I started way back in 2004.
Wow,
And
that long
yeah,
ago?
back when I was like real young, like super young. And yeah, just since then, it's kind of spiraled from there because after doing this guy's comic, he took me along to all these comic book signings. I got to go to Comic-Con San Diego because of it.
Nice.
Got to actually booth in the small press section because of it, and got to meet a fair number of people because of it. David Arquette was somebody that I was able to meet at some sort of comic event. We met Craig McCracken when we were there and
Nice.
got to show him the book a little bit. And it was kind of after that I was like, yeah, I think that this comic thing is a legit thing and I might want to pursue it a little bit more seriously. And since then, I've been freelancing and doing covers and just recently started doing sequentials for the last couple of years.
Sequentials?
Yep, the interiors, they call them sequentials because it's a sequence of images, the
Okay.
ones with all the panels on the inside.
Sure.
hmm
What about what's the word? Oh, so who are some people you've worked for, whether it be companies or just high ranks? Give us some names.
Recently, I did a couple covers for Xenoscope. I did a few covers for Aspen about a month ago for some of their convention exclusives. And we had a book come out called Fallen between myself and this other guy, Chris Anot. And he and I have been working on this book for a little while. In fact, I'm still working on it right now. And we just got the first issue out. And the first issue did so well that we were able to expand on our second issue. And so instead of doing the usual 15-page comic, we've bumped it up to 36.
Dang, more than
Yeah,
double.
yeah. And it has gotten a really good response from it. And Chris Anon has been able to get a couple really nice podcast spots to help advertise it. So this is a legit thing that's actually happening and is getting some really good distribution and exposure in the convention circles.
Nice. Very nice. So I don't know if I did. I ask you what your color, uh, your job as a coloring artist. What part of that in the comic does that entitle? As in, I know this might be a bit of an obvious question, but and I might have
Mhm.
stated it again or asked it, but what exactly does the colorer do?
Well, the dumb answer to that is, well, I give color to it, but that's like a rookie answer because a colorist does a lot more than just color. And that is actually a really good question because when people think about what a colorist does, all they think is they just take the black and whites and then they use the fill tool in Photoshop to just fill in the spaces in between. And that might have been true maybe like 15, 20 years ago,
Hmm.
but nowadays there's so much competition between colorists that we have to make our stuff look good and we have to stand out if we want to get work. We can't just fill in between and, you know, we can't stick with the quality that you expect to see in the Sunday newspapers. We
Definitely.
we really have to push the boundaries of light and texture, and it has been constantly evolving over the last, especially over the last few years. There has been this huge push in trying to up the quality in the interiors of comics. Because one of the biggest pet peeves that a lot of people have with comics is they see a brilliant cover and then they open up the first pages and it looks like it was just filled in and shaded in 5 minutes.
I
And
can I can imagine how.
that's one thing that I want to break away from, and I would never ever do that as a colorist. And I've had instances where I've been offered jobs where people would pay me really low amounts of money per page, and I would ask them like, well, what's up with this? And they say, oh, just make it look like, and they would show me a couple example pages, and I'd just be like, I don't do that. I'm not going to perpetuate that cycle.
That's that's a good thing.
Yeah, I want the interiors to actually look good. And I know that, especially in this economy, people are just like, well, how dare you pick and choose your jobs like that? I would kill for a job like that. And I recognize the fact that I'm blessed in a way,
Hmm.
and just so blessed where I can have the luxury to pick and choose who I work with and what I do with them. And it's something that has taken many years just to get to that point. So, best piece of advice I can give to people is to not follow my example in that regard and take what you can have. And then when you're established and when you've actually got a few books behind you and when you've shown legitimately that you can handle it, then you can really up it and push yourself even harder and push back a little towards your clients. Try and make it more of a collaboration instead of just you doing what they tell you to do.
Which perhaps is not a bad thing.
Absolutely not.
Not only just from your perspective, but theirs as well,
Hmm.
in the sense that they get a higher quality, correct?
Absolutely. We won't be able to get stuff out weekly. Like, we can't come up with a 36-page comic every week guaranteed. But when we do get a comic out, it's going to look amazing. And it's going to be something that you should want to buy.
Which is exactly what you should strive to do every comic.
Yeah. Because got to remember, it's still a business.
Hmm.
And as much as I'd love to stick to the ideology of, it's all about the art, it's all about the expression, that there's also a business side to it too. And it's a really ugly, cutthroat business side. And you have to be able to roll with it. So that if people want you to work faster, you have to find ways to work smarter. And that's kind of what I've been doing for the last few years. That my development as an artist has been more about just getting stuff out the door faster so that I can keep up with a competitive comic industry.
Sure. I kind of want to ask two questions here, but I don't know which one to ask first because I fear I'm going to diverge. How I guess I'll just carry on from here. How competitive is the comic book industry? Because I don't have much of an idea. Give me an idea.
Yeah, well, I don't have much of an idea either, to be honest, because a lot of my freelancing is just stuff that's handed to me and that I've sought out for. So I've not really had to battle a lot of artists on the way. But from what I have seen from other people, people are really, really protective, especially over their styles.
Hmm.
And if people have a certain style that looks very similar to another artist, that other artist might start to feel a little infringed upon. And I've seen this, especially in colorists, where sometimes they'll find a colorist and say, yeah, make your stuff look like this person's artwork, so that we don't have to pay you as much as we would be expected to pay them. It's kind of a complicated thing where they hire colorist A to try and replicate the style of colorist B, but only pay colorist A half as much as they would colorist B. And so that's when colorist B would start to feel a little infringed upon. And I've seen this happen before. And it happens even in the big comic companies where they're just looking for the lowest bidder. And so you've got to be competitive, and you got to find a way so that your quality and your style is worth the price that you're charging other people. And if people start trying to replicate and mimic other colorists and then undersell them, that can actually cause a lot of trouble, and that is not a good way to make friends in the industry. And I remember there's a certain color artist. Her name is Nii Rafino, who I'm a big fan of, and a lot of my style was developed from a lot of the techniques that she uses. And by watching her on live streams, I've been able to develop my own style and learn some new techniques. But I always make sure that my style does not look like hers.
How so then I guess the next question would be how not only how does yours differ from hers, but how does it just differ from the industry itself?
Well, I'll answer the first question. I try to differentiate from her by going a little bit darker than she does,
Hmm.
and that I do a couple extra steps in my work to kind of make it my own and not look like hers. So, maybe she'd diverge in one direction and she would handle, for example, fabric or lace a certain way, and I'll do it my own way. And then to answer your second question, kind of to segue into it, that when I have certain signatures and things that I have developed entirely on my own. Probably the most proficient ones would be the way I do hair and the way I do skin tones. And those are all techniques that I've developed myself. And those are my signatures. So
Okay.
you can tell which image I colored if you look at the hair or if you look at the skin tones.
That is something I've noticed not only amongst just your work, but anyone's work. You can, if you look close enough and hard enough, you can often smell whose signature or whose work it is just based on the styling of whether it be hair or form or like water effects.
Hmm.
You just got to look hard enough.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a really well-known artist. His name's Genzo Man, and he has a very saturated, awesome color palette. But it's always like deep reds and magentas contrasted against blues and cyans, and he does it so well. And I could spot one of his pieces from across a convention floor. That's how distinctive it is. And yeah, it's true. Everybody has kind of that little odor of style that emanates from their image. So you can just look at it from first glance, and after you've been doing this for a while and studying a lot of other artists, you can do it. It's like yeah, that's an Eric Basaldua cover right there, and it was colored by Nii Rafino, or that's a Sean Emery color against a Dev Gear inking job. Just listing names of people whom I know and whom I've studied.
Sure. So what are you?
And
Go ahead.
that's kind of what I wanted is I want to have something that can also stand out. And I guess I've succeeded in some regards where people at conventions have sent me emails, some of my clients being like, hey, I didn't know you also worked for this guy and also this guy. And a good example was C2E2 in Chicago. I got two emails from two of my different clients who noticed that I was like apparently everywhere in the artist alley. They're like, yeah, you're on like half the booths in the small press and independent press sections.
Dang, that's
Yeah.
impressive.
So I was just like, wow, I've got kind of some splay out there.
Tell us about some of these conventions you've been to. What are they like?
Yeah, well, I haven't been to many conventions because I'm always working on coloring and stuff. So the way I work is since I work off of commission, I don't make money off of royalties and stuff because I can't keep track of that. I've done so many things that I would lose all my money just to hire the accounting department to keep track of all that stuff. So it's always just a one-time payment thing, and then we're done. It's fixed. You like it? Cool, awesome. I'll send you the high-resolution file. You can do whatever you want with it because it's yours now. But when I do go to conventions, it's usually just really relaxed affairs. Especially if I'm there with other line artists who I've collaborated with. I mean, the line artist is usually the star of the show. I found that colorists are still climbing their way up in the rungs of respect. I mean, it wasn't until I think 2005 or 2006 that they actually started offering Eisner Awards towards colorists. Even though
Really?
we've existed for decades, it wasn't until the last 10 years that they're just like, yeah, maybe we should throw something their way, seeing as they do like half the work on this.
Pretty much.
But
Hello?
colorists. We uh, we do so much. We do what we can.
Um, I guess then I can't believe I didn't ask you this first. What are your tools of the trade?
Well, I've got myself a very ramshackle setup. It's a plastic folding table that we used to use for poker games.
Eh,
I have my monitors elevated on an old table leaf from a dining set that we ramshackled from my grandma's place before she moved out to assisted living. And then I have a cheap $10 keyboard and a Wacom Intuos 4 with a very old version of Photoshop CS2.
I'm gonna ask. I know you've kind of thrown that out there on your live streams that you use. You These are your tools, but I just have to ask. How come you haven't upgraded from CS2?
Well, because it's the only version that I legally own.
Fair
And
enough.
I haven't had the need to invest in upgrading because it satiates my needs. It does what I want it to do. It crashes every now and then, and it doesn't like Windows 7 very much, but gets the job done anyway. It's a love-hate relationship.
That's understandable. All
I'd,
right.
I'd like to upgrade, but I'd also like a new car, and I'd like to live in a larger place. But we get what we can get.
Exactly. I understand that notion very well. I kind of want to shift gears and talk about ponies now, or at least your role within the fandom.
Okay.
And part of it is how do I want to word this? I guess I'm just mostly curious about how you got into the fandom because don't take this the wrong way, but you just don't seem that likely. It just doesn't seem that you should be here, and yet
Well,
you are.
if you understand where I was in 2011, then I was a prime candidate for the Brony fandom. I was. It came as no surprise. Uh, First of all, my friends, I mean, since we're all in comics and stuff, we're also big fans of animation. There's a huge overlap between fans of comics and fans of animation. So we've been fans of especially the old Cartoon Network stuff,
Hmm.
as well as some of the older late '90s animated films, especially The Iron Giant and Cats Don't Dance. And a little certain lady happened to work on those as well.
I wonder who.
Yep. And so, of course, as fans of Iron Giant and Cats Don't Dance and other shows like Powerpuff Girls, that then when we found out that Lauren Faust was going to be doing My Little Pony, well, when we were done laughing for about 10 minutes straight, we decided to check it out. And much to our surprise, we're like, okay, guys, why is this good? Why are we liking this? What's wrong with us? What happened?
Is that how it always goes?
That's how it always goes. It's I'm preaching to the choir here. Story of all of us.
I shouldn't be here, and yet I am.
It's like, why did I just spend the last 4 hours watching this? Only three
Yep.
episodes are out. Why have I spent 4 hours rewatching them?
So
And
how? Go ahead.
I distinctly remember that weekend that we first heard Winter Wrap Up. We called each other up and we're like, is it in your head too?
Well, was it for them?
Yes. So it was nice having friends so that we could suffer together.
Yeah, but if you suffer alone, then you can relish in their pain as they watch. They start out, and you're just like, been there, been there.
Yeah, but when you start humming it when you're standing in line at Subway, you just confuse everyone around you. They don't understand where you're coming from. They just don't get it.
They just don't get it. They don't understand us.
They have not accepted Pony into their hearts yet. So I was total prime candidate, and it doesn't help that at the time I was trying to rebuild myself as a freelance artist because I was unemployed at the time, and I was really scrambling to try and find a way to get back into the entertainment industry. And it was, a really stressful time. I'm not going to lie about it, that I was stressed out. I was kind of depressed, not in kind of like the mopey, I'm going to kill myself kind, but more in the unmotivated, I have difficulty getting out of bed because I have nothing to do kind of depression.
Sure.
And so Ponies came at a really good time, especially the fandom truly delivered when I could just finally find a place where I could feel like I could talk about something as silly as a little girl show with a bunch of people who understand that we're all as equally confused by this as everyone else. Again, why do we like this so much? We need to put into words. We need to translate confusion to English, and we need to do it fast.
Perhaps that confusion is not such a bad thing, though.
Absolutely not. And I think that
if we understood it, would we still be here?
Yeah. If it wasn't for the fandom, it would have been one of those things where I watched maybe a few episodes and then I'm out. But seeing the stuff that the fandom was making with it, especially like the Pony music videos and when they were recutting the old trailers, and oh my god, the Inglourious Bastards trailer to Pony. Oh my god, if you have not seen that. That is a classic. And that was one of those ones where I was just like, yeah, I'm in this fandom for it. It's like, these guys are people that I can chill with. It's like, you guys right there. I like you guys. I like what you do.
Excellent.
And then, little thing called Alex S happened, and now it's eternal. I like dubstep now. What happened? This metalhead, classic rock, progressive rock fan is suddenly just blasting dubstep everywhere he goes. What has Ponies done to him?
What hath Pony wrought?
Yeah. Curse you, living tombstone, opening my eyes to unheard music that I now love and definitely shouldn't.
What about, how do I want to word this? When did you decide to start drawing them?
Well, when I heard there was background openings at DHX, back when it was still Studio B, and I was just like, okay, I want in on that. I'm going to try this, just shot in the dark. So I watched a couple episodes, and my initial feeling was, man, those backgrounds are so simple. They look easy. So I even decided to try and do it in the show style, and I opened up the same version of Flash that they used, and I crafted together a couple pieces, and after about 4 hours of screaming and crying and realizing that it's not as easy as it seems, I started to actually take it a lot more seriously and really absorbed the style and the way that all the staging and the backgrounds would flow together and really complement the characters, make the characters stand out. That it really wasn't until I started doing or trying to replicate the backgrounds that I truly appreciated what the backgrounds were doing. And then after a couple days of just tearing my hair out trying to get it down, I felt that I finally had something that looked pretty close to what they would be going for, made a few more images kind of like it, wrapped them all up in a neat little package, put a bow on it, sent it off to Studio B, and I was like, all right, guys, well, what do you think? And they're like, Canadians only.
What? Really?
They in order to maintain tax benefits from the beautiful country of Canada, they have to hire domestic, and they are very avid about that. So yeah, so it's just kind of one of those things. I was like, this isn't fair. So then I uploaded them to DeviantArt, and then people on DeviantArt are like, this is awesome. And then every pony group on DeviantArt was like, put this in our collection. And I was just like, oh, I seem to have stirred up something here. Okay. And then it was that same night that one of the moderators on Equestria Daily, Fee, updated with the start of the artist training grounds. And I had never drawn pony before, and I was just doing, just the background stuff was the only thing I studied. And then I decided to study, hey, I'll take a look at these foreground characters as well. And, for the sake of artist training grounds, I'll see how this looks. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's a really simple character style. They have very few features and everything kind of just flows into each other. How hard can this design be? It looks easy. And again, I should have learned the first time. I obviously don't learn from my mistakes because it's not easy. It's simple, yes, but since it's so simple, if you make a mistake, it's glaring and it stands out like you wouldn't believe. So again, after another 4 hours of screaming at the computer, wondering why nothing was working, I finally had myself a neat little rendition of Trixie that for some reason didn't suck as much as the rest. So I gave her a nice little hat and some sparklies, and then, again, stitched it together, put a nice little bow on it, and put it on Equestria Daily. And it made it into the training grounds, and it got a really good response. And even Seth Easto commenting on it, saying, "This is my new wallpaper." And I was like, "Hey, that guy is using my wallpaper! Yay!"
Well, it's a start.
And yeah, that was definitely the start of it, and it opened up a lot for me because then the Brony fandom decided to say hi. And since I was trying to get freelancing stuff, I got a lot of requests to draw people's OCs, and I was like tempted to. And then people actually started offering actual job commissions, and I distinctly remember there was this one girl that wanted to have a birthday card for her 14-year-old brother who was a Brony and who was also a Star Wars fan. So I got to do a Star Wars My Little Pony crossover for a birthday card.
Nice.
And it all just started making sense afterwards, and I was just like, all right, there's this fandom here that they really appreciate anything that has pony in it. Because whenever I used to try anything on my own and try to go off of my own style and my own tastes and my own likes, it would always just fall under the radar. All the stuff that I did on my own just never got noticed. The only things people noticed was when I would do, sultry, saucy pinup covers for comics and stuff. And whenever I tried to do my own thing and try to do stuff that I wanted to do, nobody seemed to care, and they got no response from it. And I know that people say it's like, well, how egotistical of you to only do it for the attention, and that's not really all of it. I do it because I want feedback so that people will tell me where I can work on it, and I got tons of feedback and tons of help from people when it comes to sultry, saucy pinup comic pieces, but when it comes to actual ponies, or like anything outside of ponies, when it came to the stuff that I wanted to do, nobody said anything until ponies.
Really?
Yeah, so now it's just like I throw a pony in something and suddenly everybody cares. And I was just like, I could probably get some use out of this. No, to sound totally conniving and mischievous about it. And it just snowballed from there. And then a certain phenomenon happened where not only was it bronies that were commenting on it, but even non-bronies and even brony haters. Like
Really?
people who despised bronies and joked about them and loathed them and went out of their way to such great lengths to say terrible things about them and discredit them. They were coming to my stuff and they're just like, as much as I wish for them all to drop off the face of the planet, this is pretty much okay. And I've never been so proud of my work since.
Nice.
So-
if we did drop off of the Earth, who would they have to hate?
Twilight finished, so I don't know.
And besides, if we dropped off the Earth, then we could start our own planet with all the ponies in the world. It would be called Equestria, the planet.
We would just start the Lunar Empire. They're like, but this isn't even the moon. Quiet, you. Details. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that we take a lot of flack from other people who like things that would be seen for kids. I'd say that we're kind of doing a favor for some people by taking all the harsh criticisms off of others. So you're welcome, Adventure Time fans. You're welcome.
Good way of putting it.
Hey, as I remember when Harry Potter came out and everyone was saying the same thing, and this happens to everything that gets popular and is not for adults. Mm-hmm. When Harry Potter came out, everyone was just lamenting it, and then the greatest thing that ever happened to Harry Potter was Twilight. Because all the hate shifted towards something that actually had some legitimate flaws to it. because Harry Potter wasn't fun to make fun of. People just made fun of it because it was popular. Twilight is a laugh riot to make fun of.
I think a lot of reviewers on the internet have nothing but agreement with you there.
Yeah, I know this is supposed to be about ponies, but I want to talk about Twilight for a second.
Okay, go on.
Twilight is like The Room, except people actually take it seriously,
Well,
and that's kind of depressing.
you have to understand, Twilight, it wants to be taken seriously. The Room,
It tries so hard. And even when they finally get it right, and they're like, yeah, we got this epic battle scene, and there's actual consequence and sacrifice happening right before you, and these characters are in actual peril, and then, boop, just kidding, it was all a dream. Yeah, just,
that
So,
that is
so,
a terrible cliche.
so I guess that, kind of when, I remember when Adventure Time was coming out, people were just like, oh, I don't want to watch a silly, stupid little cartoon about, this brightly colored fantasy world. I mean, who would be into things that are like bright colors and fantasy and about people going on silly little adventures? And as the front was ready to launch against Adventure Time, a little thing called Ponies happened. We're like, hey guys, big easy target over here. I was waving my hands up in the air all enthusiastically about that.
Because here comes the shitstorm.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's the strange thing about ponies is that when it started out, it was always you guys won't believe us, but there's this show, and then you kind of have to delve into details to try and sell it to people without overselling it to people and try to make them feel not wrong for watching it. And this is when it was first starting out. And it was a group of people that were just trying to convince people that this show was worth watching. I mean, nowadays people are blowing it out of proportion, being like, this is the greatest thing ever. This is the most amazing piece of media that has ever graced the earth in the history of existence.
Right.
But it's like, it started out as just a bunch of people who were big fans of animation on the co-board, and they're just like, yeah, you guys should probably give this a chance because it's not as bad as you think it is. So very humble beginnings. And because of that, since everyone was so humble about it, they had to be very open and accepting towards other people, resulting in a certain phenomenon where we got accustomed to being so open and encouraging of other people when they decide to try it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, since we became so open and encouraging and so friendly towards one another, whenever we'd get any sort of, deriding comments about it, we were not only used to it, but we had practiced a way to just, shrug it off like water off a duck's back. Love and tolerate.
Good way of putting it.
Yeah. And so, not only were we an easy target, but we were a target that didn't really bite back, and it was okay to be in this demographic of people that were targeted by haters because we could take it. Yeah. I mean, nowadays people, and Tox and I talk about this all the time. It's like the difference between how it was before and how it is now. It's like nowadays we've got people who take it way too seriously.
To be fair, that'll always be the case, whether it be now or in the beginnings or in the far future.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like I kind of want to ask people to kind of just tone it down a little bit and just take a step back and give them a little bit of a reality check, because that's how you really enjoy this. It's just when you take it for the simple, silly TV show that it is. It's not a religion,
That I can agree to.
Yes, but still, ponies are life. Totally.
Well,
just don't say that out loud.
I can't exactly say that, I can't how do I want to put this? You see me sitting here, don't you?
Yeah, and I see me sitting here too. It's a little bit awkward.
All right. It is 4 o'clock my time. So that means it's time for audience questions.
Bring it on, you guys.
By the way, I'll remind everyone, put them in the BwB text quest room. We'll be advertising it throughout the stream. Just click on it, throw your questions in there. No talking other than questions. First question.
Yeah, I actually had a question that was asked to me when I was on Skype, and I was like, hey, you should go in here and ask some awkward questions. He's like, sorry, I can't be in there, but can you answer me this? Would you rather fight a duck-sized Fluttershy or 100 Fluttershy ducks, and I was just like, why would I want to fight either?
Good point.
Yeah, that's my official answer to that.
All right. Thunderbolt asks, have you ever drawn anything that is inspired by other fan works, such as Fallout Equestria, Pinky's Brew, etc.?
Ooh, 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 ooh. Um, I would have to delve back. I think I've been mostly on. Actually, there is a fanfic that I was a part of, and I have done a fair number of images for it because it was a fanfic that it had certain qualities to it that not other fanfics had. For example, there was artwork for every single chapter created specifically for that chapter, and I drew a good number of the images for it.
Nice.
So if any of you guys seen it, it's called Starstruck on FimFiction. I'll get a link to it right here, and I am actually a little bit proud of it because I also helped write it. So it was myself and one of my coworkers. I actually posted it under my FimFiction name. So I actually got to do a lot of artwork for it, and even though I did like the writing and the artwork for a good portion of it, it's still somebody else's story. So technically, it's not mine. But I'll post that here.
Nice. Past shins.
Yeah, I liked the Discord one of there's like previous foibles or something.
How did that one go?
Well, it was a very raunchy parody of past sins, but instead of Nix, it was Discord or Dix. It's
Yeah.
pretty much what you expect.
I was gonna say, gee, there's no implication anywhere here. This sounds safe.
Well, this sounds like a wholehearted, awesome story.
Fun for the whole family.
I'm gonna get my kids on it.
Just like whose line is it anyway?
Yep, and just a forewarning, Starstruck I don't write very much, so it does get a little purple in the prose. I am a fan of adjectives. And since I'm an artist, I try to describe as many little things as I can because I have the image in my head, and I'm just like, and I just have to hash out every single little detail. What color is the fire, and what color are the little embers coming off of it, and what color is the grill over the fireplace, and I guess this fireplace is about 4 doors down from where the scene takes place, so I guess I don't have to go into too much. I'll leave it in there anyway. Yeah,
What
so
about
people jump down my throat for purple prose, and I have learned.
fair enough? Okay, I've got three questions actually here from the same person. Twilight is Magic asks, vests, are there also pants?
Are there also pants?
Yeah, kind of a pun on your name here.
Oh, nope. They would actually be shorts.
I like that question or that answer.
Yeah, actually, the name vest was given to me by it dates all the way back to the year 2000 when I was on a rugby team, and one of my first artistic expressions, and I am not proud of this, was vandalism, where I would take Sharpies with me on buses and I would, etch little signatures and stuff. But it was a practice that was introduced to me by one of my mates on my rugby team. So when we were driving through London, he's like, hey, hands me a Sharpie. He's like, go ahead, make a friend. So I decided just to write Dave down. That's my first name. And he's just like, well, do something creative. I mean, come up with, a name that describes who you are or what you do. And so I decided to put down Fatty instead because, I was like the big guy on the rugby team and they called me Fatty. And then this other guy's like, no. I mean, what is that? What's that stupid little thing that you happen to wear to school every day? I'm like, what, my vest? And he's like, all right, that's what your name is now. Give it to him, vest. And I'm just like, I don't like that name. And he's like, nope, it's yours now. So it's stuck with me ever since, and I've grown to like it. And then when people make jokes about, so where's Mrs. Sleeves? I'm like, yeah, this name was worth it. I appreciate that.
Where's Mrs. Sleeves?
Yes.
I must confess, that's a
Because she
good one.
completes me, so that we can make an adorable little sweater out of each other.
Less than a sweater, more than a vest badge.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there is no Mrs. Sleeves. Aww.
Aw.
Aww.
How about, in continuation, on a more serious note, Twilight is Magic asks, do you have any
Mhm.
more Daring Do works planned? And my extension to this is, what other pony ones do you have in the future?
All right. Well, other pony ones would be just a long list of daring do. It would also be whatever I'm commissioned to do. So if people hand me a pony piece to hash out and do, then I would do that one. So it's a little bit out of my control. If I had my choice between them, it would always be daring do because I'm kind of known as the daring do guy. Apparently, even though I have like a few images of her, I guess people don't really do daring do that much, which breaks my heart. So I guess I'll be that guy.
You'll be that
But
guy.
yeah, I've had a number of requests. One of them, like I want to do a daring do crossover with the old '90s show Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yes.
So have her vaulting over a temple guard while hog tying him with a pendant of life, carrying the head of the shrine of the Silver Monkey.
The
And
shrine.
it would just to even cross over it even further. It would be Minka's head from Littlest Pet Shop. This and other things I shouldn't know in my new book, Things I Shouldn't Know. And yeah, that's one idea that I've been batting around for way too long, but never really had the time to do because this whole comics projects and stuff, deadlines. It all keeps me nice and bogged down.
Well, you got to make your money somehow.
Yep. When time opens up, there's definitely going to be a lot more ponies coming out because I've been a little bit stagnant. I'll admit, I've been a little bit stagnant for the last couple months because of outside things and because of comic projects and stuff. But when I do get some time open up, definitely got to get some more pony in.
Excellent. Ooh, I kind of have a bit of a question, but it'll concern your live stream. I
Mhm.
do want to give some time for your live stream, but actually, let's just continue on with the audience questions. Just don't make me forget it, please.
Absolutely.
My Brony side asks, have you ever turned a hater or non-brony into a brony with your artwork?
Uh, in my live streams, I can name a few people, and I've got to watch in sadistic delight as they not only fell to the brony bug, but
Yeah.
that they also kind of fell too far into the fandom and have seen certain media that we don't speak of, and I now have a very delighted laugh when I remember that they went from hating ponies into now seeing things that they can no longer unsee. Ha 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 ha. Hope you like cupcakes.
But fair enough.
And
Uh,
I've turned people into fans of some of the musicians,
mhm.
even though they're like in no way at all Brony fans. I have gotten a couple of people turned on to Aviators, Alex S, Living Tombstone, because I have a lot of people who go to my live stream and they're always asked like, "What music is this?" And I always send them a link to it and they check it out and they say it's like, "All right, downloading the album now," and I'm just like, "You don't know what you're downloading," and that makes me happy.
Who knows? Maybe that will come back to them one day.
I'm pretty sure that they'll be listening to it about 6 months from now and they'll just be like, "Wait a minute."
I was thinking more, wait a minute, where's this from? MLP? Well, why
Hey,
not?
I got this really awesome metal track, like this epic goth metal Celtic instrumental style, and I was like, "This is the most awesome thing ever." And then, much to my horror, 4 months later, somebody pointed out that it was from Homestuck, and I was like, "Oh, you crafty jerks, you got me." I guess that means that we now have to talk about Homestuck. No, we
Yeah, go ahead.
don't. No.
Okay, fair enough. Well, hey,
We
I'll
shall
tell you
not.
what. I'm leaving it open for you. I'm not gonna touch that. But you want to? Now's your time.
No, I don't. I am saying that very jokingly.
Fair enough. Uh, all right. These three are from Mr. Ben here, and he's always asking these. And I bless his heart. Bless him. I like it when he does this. First of all, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
French silk.
Good choice. If you could manipulate any two of the four classical elements, that is fire, water, wind, and earth, which ones would they be?
I think the combination of fire and air would give me the most would give me the most entertainment value at parties. So I can make it look like I'm belching fire whenever I want to, or doing other things with fire and bodily functions, or doing that to other people as well when they don't expect it.
Oh Lord, that would be funny.
Yep.
And three, what is the meaning of life?
How many people say 42? That's probably old by now.
The only person who has not said that,
Yeah, I
actually
figured
two.
that's
There
how
have been
that
two.
is.
There have been two people who have not said that in the 15 some interviewees I've done. So what is it? What is your pick?
The answer to what is the meaning of life is just enjoy it and stop asking dumb questions.
Unless you're Big Bird, who believes there is no such thing as a stupid question.
Well, there are such things as stupid birds, and she is one of them. Ouch!
Okay, that was funny.
Shots fired.
All right, let's
Can you do more than count to 10?
Oh my.
Yeah, oh man, my caffeine must be wearing off. I am getting passive aggressive over here.
I'm gonna start laughing like the Dennis Rodman joke again. I tried to move on here. Okay, here's a good one from Iwa. Pretend you get the opportunity to change the animation style of either the comics or the to change the animation style of or the comic style of the current MLP franchise. What would you change and how? Or if you don't think it needs changing, why does it not?
It does not need changing because everything else needs to turn into that. Exactly that. Literally that. Everything needs to be that.
How come?
Because it's awesome.
Fair enough.
Yeah, well, for a more fair answer, I've actually never thought about that. It's like I never really thought what would make this look better. I think that maybe if they had a couple like I don't know, sort of things that Futurama does when they intentionally change style. I thought it would be cool if they had a very classic looking style in the rubber hose animation of the 30s, of like, the 20s and 30s.
Yep.
And then it's just like, because you get to go up to Daniel Ingram and be like, dude, swing track. Let's see what you do. And if you've heard the stuff of William Anderson, the guy who composes music, like the score for it,
Mm-hmm.
if you like check out some of his other stuff, he does a lot of like Broadway shows kinds of things, and he's got this very classical style. He could do a swing track really well, or at least I believe he can.
All right, are we back, folks?
Let me try refreshing it up over here. Let's see, I got a MIPS embed.
Good.
Oh, yes, we got it.
Good. Then
Hey, guys.
let us carry on. Sorry about all this, folks, but yeah, this happens. So sorry about that. Anyway, we're back with Vest. What were we?
Hey, guys.
What were we discussing before we got dropped?
Well, I have no idea. We had a question of some sort.
Oh yeah. It was if you would change anything about the current MLP animation style or the comic style, what would you change of it and why?
Oh yeah, that's right. I had a really good 5 minutes to really just mull it over in my head and to think about it and analyze and think of all the other things, and I completely forgot to do that. I was too busy panicking. So, yeah, I think that MLP, the animation, stands out as kind of like it is the what you should aspire for when it comes to object-based animation. And I know that a lot of people look at that and like they should make it look like it's traditionally animated, but that takes so long to do, and it's so expensive that
And why can't it be its own style in the digital world?
yeah, well, it has to be. It kind of has to be object-based because they have to get they have to get the show out really quickly. And don't forget that DHX works on 2 other shows as well.
Hmm.
So they've got a lot of stuff they need to get out. So they have to have a really fast, efficient animation style. And the only thing that they could realistically be converted into would be shows of other, object-based animation styles. And so when you think about shows like that, it's a little bit, it's like, do I really want it looking like Johnny Test? Not really.
No,
No. Um, am I the only person in here who actually likes that show? I think I am.
I don't think so.
Anyone raise your hooves? No, no,
No.
no, yeah, no, no, yeah, okay. But yeah, so it's like it would be thinking in an idealistic world, what would it look like? And I just love it the way it is. That's what makes it stand out. And it wouldn't be what it is if it was different aesthetically.
Hmm.
And I know that fans have come up with really good renditions, even like coming up with very close to Disney quality animation. Children of the Night is a great example of just
Definitely.
of just people taking the character designs and expressing them in a whole new way. But Children of the Night took them what, like a year and a half to make, and it's only 2.5 minutes. And that's the limitation of having traditional animation,
Yep.
is that you can only do so much. So yeah, it would be cool if they did that, but it would look so different as well. And they do a really good job with what they have. So yeah, and I say the same thing about the comics as well, where just the team that they have working on it, it all looks really good, and they do such a good job piecing it together. And Andy Price was a great pick for it. I love the range of expression he can put in his characters. And I love the fact that he's able to take the already very expressive characters from the show and even give them more personality in their visual presentation.
How so? Just out of curiosity.
Well, when you do model-based animation, there's only so far that you can take the models before the models start to break and start to look weird, and you have the different objects start overlapping each other and it doesn't look very good. And the luxury of comics is that you can spend your time on a single frame and you can really get all the little details out. And the way that he did Chrysalis in those first 5 issues of the IDW series,
Hmm.
I mean, just the huge range of expression he was able to get on her. He was really able to find the character that they got in the season 2 finale and take it to a whole new level. So her expressions were a lot more, very Disney-esque
Hmm.
in just the way that the faces would contort and the eyes would really just beam down on whatever they were looking at. His rendition of Chrysalis is fantastic.
Fair enough. Next question. Thunderbolt asks, if you were to choose between the 40s music from the 1940s or classical music, which do you think is better?
Oh, that is a very good question. I love the big band jazz swing era. So, no, not to dump on my main man Sebastian Bach. Sorry, Beethoven, but I'm afraid that the Duke Ellingtons and the Ella Fitzgeralds have this one.
To each their own.
Yep. So totally love the 40s music. And if any of you guys have heard the electro swing genre or have heard the music of Take 5, Power of Stellar, or Caravan Palace, you know what I mean. You got to check that stuff out.
Yeah.
Love that stuff. And whenever I play that stuff during my streams, I get such a great response whenever I do that. And I'm glad to see that more and more people are starting to play it in their streams as well. So it's like I posted a link to a certain mix that I found on YouTube, and I've heard that mix on like 3 other streams now. It's amazing.
Let's see. Here's a bit of an off question.
I love off questions.
Moonview asks, what is your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card?
Oh, except those off questions because I'm sorry. Yu-Gi-Oh was a little outside of my time frame. I'm old.
What's that, Sonny?
I'm like a grandfather. Hey, what are those kids doing on my porch? I told you that was my frisbee when it landed on my windowsill.
That was funny.
I do my best.
Thunderbolt asks, what's your favorite movie of all time?
Uh, it varies so much, but I love Heavy Metal, the original early 80s version, because it's the movie that reads your mind. And I remember when I was 15 years old, when I first saw it, the prime demographic for R-rated animated films. I was just like, what would make this movie great? Just some random decapitations. And it's like, well, the movie's like, well, here you go then. It followed my stream of consciousness as I was watching it, and it gave me exactly what I wanted. It's like, there aren't enough naked women in this scene. And the movie's like, here you go. Woo!
Got any sandwich-eating monsters?
Not anymore. I had to put my last one down.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about the movie.
Oh, sandwich eating monsters?
Yeah, just some monster eating a sandwich off to the side, minding his own business. Like, why not?
Oh, yeah. Suppose so.
I like that. You know what would be awesome? A random decapitation. And there you
Yeah,
go.
and it's just like, all right, well, man, these guys are pretty weird. When was the last LSD drug trip that we had? And the movie's like, oh, you want an LSD drug trip? Here we go. They're flying through space. Like, oh, that's pretty funny. Well, this isn't that funny. It's like, oh, you want it funnier? All right, let's have them crash in the space station. It's like, stop doing that movie!
I might just have to check this out just because of that. I really might.
A viewer beware. First of all, it's a classic, but not for Citizen Kane reasons. It is just a nonsensical romp of raunchy, violent ridiculousness. I love it.
Fair enough.
Thunderbolt knows what I'm talking about. A car in space. Your argument is invalid. Yes.
In space.
Though technically it's in re-entry, but details. Did I mention it drops out of the space shuttle? It drops out of the space shuttle.
Sounds like the Blues Brothers.
Oh,
Only much higher, of course.
yes.
Which one?
But I guess when it comes to films that you could actually show to the whole family, you've got to go with The Iron Giant.
Mm-hmm.
But that's such a boring answer because that's what everyone goes to.
Actually, I think this is the first time anyone's ever brought up favorite movie. It should be brought up more.
Yeah.
Where were we?
Superman. That was Vin Diesel who voiced him.
It was? I forgot that. Wow. Superman. Yeah, that was sad.
Oh, totally, but it's okay. He survived.
I was going to say I guess in this case, reassembly.
Yeah,
Good built-in feature.
By the way. But then again, I think it's good punishment for people who haven't seen it yet. It's like, haven't seen it yet? Here's your punishment. Let's spoil everything. He lives!
Damn, we did just spoil it.
Well, I hope everyone in here has already seen it, and if not, well, you deserve it.
Yes.
Yeah. I just hope that people don't spoil Breaking Bad tomorrow.
Oh, they will.
Before I do, which, by the way, happy day before National Mourning Day. I am not going into work tomorrow. I'm so not.
Well, if you, how do I put this? Fake an illness.
Yeah. I'll say that I'm in the middle of a fugue state. See if they get it.
Oh, where were we? Ooh, here's another good one. Twilight is Magic asks, do you play games of any kind, like video games or other games like board games? If yes, then what's your favorite kind?
I just finished up Saints Row 4, and I was amazed by it. Because the basic design of Saints Row games is step one, turn on all the cheats. Step two, now let's design a game around it.
I like that.
You feel like a god when you're romping through that, and it is just so over the top, stupid, ridiculous. And just to give an example, and I hope that this doesn't crash Steam with all the sales it's going to get from me saying this, but it opens up with you infiltrating a terrorist base, and then they fire a nuclear missile at Washington, D.C., and you jump on the nuclear missile mid-launch, and you're defusing it while Aerosmith's I Don't Want to Miss a Thing is blaring in the background.
Gee, where have I seen a guy riding a bomb before?
And then, as it is over the White House and you defuse it and detonate it, you jump off of it, do two flips, crash through the roof right into the seat of the Oval Office, and boom, now you're President of the United States. Download this game.
You know, I just might have to do that because of this advertisement.
It's ridiculous good fun. And I know that Grand Theft Auto 5 just came out, and I feel that Saints Row 4 has ruined it for me because I see people playing Grand Theft Auto 5, and it's like, why can't you just jump 500 feet in the air and power fly straight to your location? Or why are you in a car? Why can't you hover?
Why not?
Yeah, because it's...
Hover, God mode plus infinite ammo plus rocket launcher equals destroy everything.
I charged in a room with 8 guys with rocket launchers in them, and I died immediately. It wasn't even a fair fight for them. What happened? This game's broken.
I guess I didn't specify which side it worked on. Thunderbolt asks, and I gotta ask you this question first. Have you seen The Last Airbender, the animated show?
Yes, I have.
Which cartoon do you think is better, MLP or Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh, that is not a fair question because
No, it isn't.
they are so different. I think that when it comes to staying power and ability to recommend it towards others, I've always felt that Avatar: The Last Airbender just has a much more universal appeal than MLP does. And I'm going to be honest here. I think that Avatar: The Last Airbender is going to have greater staying power than MLP will. Because The Last Airbender, it ended like, what, 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
Yep.
Yeah, a long time ago. We're still harping on it and going crazy about it.
Ah, but it
And-
does have, the next installment, The Legend of Korra, out.
yes, and I've said in streams before that I thought that Legend of Korra just doesn't quite live up to it. But then again, if they are more episodes like the last episode we got yesterday, then I might change my mind on that.
But anyway, you were saying? Carry on.
But yeah, I think that when it comes to staying power, like when we look back on the stuff that we were fans of back in like 20 years from now, I think that Avatar has solidified itself as the classic cartoon of Western animation that we are all just we'll all be looking up to because it broke so many barriers and it set so many benchmarks. Because I know that Lauren Faust, when she was making MLP, talked about the importance of a strong female lead character, and I feel that she's really succeeded in that with MLP. But Avatar also succeeded at it, and with Katara, I think that Avatar has succeeded better, in my opinion. So I think that when we look at shows that have defined animation in general, I think Avatar is going to be the greater milestone than the MLP milestone, because MLP milestone is going to be like it's milestone set for kids entertainment, where when we look back on it, it's like it showed that you could have a bunch of female characters that are appealing to everyone, and that you could make a kid show for people aged 5 to 10 that doesn't suck. And those are Lauren Faust's exact words. She wanted to make a show for little girls that didn't suck, and I think she succeeded very well at that. But Avatar, the benchmarks it set, and the way that it redefined the animation industry, especially in the Western Hemisphere, is way, way greater. And we're going to be thanking Avatar for a lot of things later on, especially like the same thing about having a good, strong female lead that's appealing to male audiences. And if you remember, if you've read about like some of the behind the scenes stuff on the extras for Avatar, they talk about how Nickelodeon was really apprehensive about having female leads and about how giving them big roles because they're like, yeah, boys like male characters. And then they found out later on that, yeah, when they were screen testing it, male viewers didn't care that it was a female character because she was just awesome.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, so and Avatar came out before MLP did, so MLP reinforced reinforced the importance of a good female archetype, but Avatar really did it extremely well. And I feel that Avatar, and we see a lot of fans between Avatar fans and MLP fans. I bet you that the fan base for MLP wouldn't be as big if we didn't have Avatar fans also see that females can really kick butt when they need to.
That raises an interesting question, but for another time.
Mm-hmm.
Where was
Yep. So yeah, random tangent.
I? 80s Cheerily asks, what was the first episode you watched
The first episode
of MLP?
Yes. The first episode that I saw was what was it called? It was Applebuck season.
Okay.
And I saw it when I was at a convention with a group of people, and one of the girls there brought out her laptop and decided to play it. And I saw Applebuck season and Griffin the Brush Off. And they were the two newest episodes at the time. And I was like, all right, well, I'll go home and I'll download the other episodes and I'll check this out. And I'm actually glad that I saw Applebuck season first, because I would have not survived the first 5 minutes of the pilot. Because let's be frank here, the pilot starts out a lot like G3 does. It feels like it, and I feel that they did that on purpose to establish the world that previous fans are familiar with and then break it. But I don't think I would have gotten past it to see them break it and actually show like real danger and stuff as they did with Nightmare Moon, because Nightmare Moon didn't try to like inconvenience them, she tried to outright murder them.
Mm-hmm. Bet she did.
So it was a really good it acts as a really good transition from G3 to G4, just kind of give you the affirmation of this isn't the MLP that you're used to.
Absolutely, sure.
But if I hadn't seen enough of it beforehand, I probably would have not gotten past that.
It's an interesting concept, but how does this begs a question? How is how do I want to word this nicely?
You can be frank
How
about it.
does Applebuck season? Where are the differences between Applebuck season and the pilot? And even I could go so far as to say a G3 episode.
The pilot spent a lot of time introducing the characters, but it did it in a very, I want to say, a very safe manner, where it was just like, hey, there's this character, she's like this, and buy her toys. Her toys are available. You know, they're obviously advertising it. Where
Sure.
Applebuck season starts out, and it immediately starts out with some actual legitimate action, where a stampede is charging towards Ponyville, threatening to destroy the whole town. And it is like real action, real tension in the process. And even though they keep it lighthearted, the consequences are very real. And then from there on out, they don't show like an episode of, hey, let's throw a big party for Applejack, and then it's 20 minutes of them preparing a big party for Applejack, and oh no, the confetti is the wrong color, this tea is not good enough, we're out of sugar and happiness. They're like, no, it is a slapstick menagerie of complete and total nonsense of Applejack just knocking over half the town because she's so fatigued. And that's what makes that episode stand out so much, is that it's the affirmation of this is not the MLP you're used to, because it has so much slapstick and comedy elements to it. I was rolling the whole time. Oh my God, that seesaw scene when they're about to launch her in the air, and when Applejack jumps off of it, and you like expect it to be like some sort of like, you know, you expect some sort of like elaborate catastrophe to happen. No, she just smacks into the ground. She misses. That was the second. It was that moment when I burst out laughing, and I was just like, I have to see this. That one part when Applejack was made of dark matter.
Ooh, clonk, clonk.
And I love the fact that the pony or the PMV creator, Unanimous Delivers, he had a field day with that little scene when he did the 1,000 viewers video.
It's pretty easy. I don't know how to put this. Given the sounds that scene produced, yeah, I can see how.
Well, a lot of the veterans at DHX Media learned from the guys who worked on Eek the Cat.
Mm-hmm.
So they know about heavy impacts. They know how to do it. They are so good at it.
Not only is it somewhat show, but you can always just kind of point out some of the scenes where you think, gee, I wonder how much fun they had with this scene.
Yeah, you could tell that the animators are just having a blast putting this together. And I remember reading a bunch of interviews, and there was something that Jason Thiessen said in an interview when he was talking about his relationship with Hasbro. And Hasbro was just like, yeah, whenever we floated ideas by them, Hasbro would just be like, yeah, sure, why the hell not? Those were his exact or those were his exact words. Or they're just like, yeah, they let them do whatever they want and just have fun with it.
And look at what's happened.
Yeah, it's great to watch because not only are the characters fun to watch, but you could tell that the people who created it had fun putting it together.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let's see here. We're getting kind of close to the wire. For the record, folks, I'm planning to go a little bit over time to compensate for the cutoff, but that is assuming Saturn lets me, and that's assuming that he's is or is not broadcasting this week. I don't know if he is. I've messaged him, so hopefully he'll respond.
Oh God, what have I done? They're all quoting Eek the Cat in the chat, and I love it.
But we will go a little bit over to compensate for that cutoff, so we'll have a little more time. What was it I was going to... Where was I? Matt the Shadow Man asks, how do you see the comic industry... Or how do I want to word this? How do you see how the comic industry is right now? Is it a better place than it was, say, a decade ago? Has the internet helped or hindered comic writers and the artists?
Movies have helped. Huge. The popularity of comic book characters has surged in the last 10 years because we're finally seeing Hollywood taking comic licenses very seriously. And now people are in love with comic book characters again. It used to be where, people who loved comics would go see the movies on them and then would lament about how terrible the movies were. Mm-hmm. But nowadays it's the complete opposite around. People are getting into the comics because they love the movies. And you could complain and debate as much as you want about who came first. It's like the people who love the movies, the people who love the comics. All that matters is that people love the characters. And I love the fact that Hollywood in the last 10 years is finally taking these licenses seriously, which is something that I've never seen it taken to this level before, and I never would have imagined it when I started reading comics in the mid-90s. But now that we've seen just how much revenue they could generate, and I'm speaking in the words that resonates with them, seeing how much money and revenue and profit there is in that, they are now really taking it seriously, and we, the public, benefit from having some really quality films that come out for it. Absolutely. And one thing I love is that when the Avengers came out, people were complaining about it. People were complaining about the Avengers because they were holding it up to the same regard as you would like a Humphrey Bogart film. They're like, man, the narrative in this one was just a total mishmash. And then they like talk about, like Hitchcock films where they did it right, or they'd be like, man, if Stanley Kubrick did this, he would have done so and so. And that's like a huge reassurance to me. It's like comic movies are finally being treated like top tier cinema because they are being compared to it.
That's an interesting point. You bring up, they're complaining about it. This was, of course, before it was released, but they were complaining about it and comparing it to top tier type movies. That's an interesting point.
Yeah, so people are expecting more out of comic book movies, and that blows my mind because it's like those are things that I never would have thought I'd see 15 years ago. Like I remember when Blade came out with Wesley Snipes, and it's a good movie, but it's not an amazing movie, and it's based off a pretty good comic series, and people didn't hold it up to the same regard as AAA movie titles. It was just a silly, stupid little vampire killing romp that, for some reason, had no business being as good as it was. And, back in the days, if people were to criticize Blade for the same reasons that they criticized the Avengers, I would have just laughed at them and said, you are being the most nitpicky jerk in the universe right now. But the fact that it has become so widely accepted to criticize comic movies to such levels is actually a huge reassurance that comics are becoming legit. Like super legit. They've always been somewhat legit, and they've always been considered the mythos of the 20th and 21st century. But nowadays, it's like, it is now the mainstream. It is the top tier. It is what people expect to be great.
That says a lot.
And just thank you to Joss Whedon for taking it seriously. Thank you, Christopher Nolan. Oh my God, thank you, Christopher Nolan, for taking it seriously.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it's like no more ultraviolets anymore, right?
Among other things.
I mean, they decided to take it so seriously that they decided to take the bad Hulk movie and remake it only 4 years later?
Yep.
As a way to say, I'm sorry. And it was great.
And then they put him in the Avengers and made him even better.
He is the best demigod stomper I've ever seen.
Puny God.
Thump, thump, thump.
That scene made the movie for me. I love the movie without it. Don't get me wrong.
We spent $300 million of budget to make this one GIF.
Yep. And bless them for it, because without a doubt, yeah, I am a god, you dolt, or you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by whack, 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 whack.
I love how he throws him around, picks him up, and then keeps throwing him around again. Just that pause. I mean, that is total Joss Whedon to do that right there. Whedon knows how to make a character.
As you put it, $300 million for that.
$300 million for that one GIF. Thank you, Joss Whedon.
Thank you, Joss Whedon.
As well as the army of visual effects artists that put that together. You guys did well too. A little round of applause for you. But yeah, comics are going to be good. And as we see this exploding attendance at Comic-Con and stuff, that people who work in comics can, again, make a living from it. There was a bit of a fear for a while that people working in comics would have to start taking up second jobs just to stay afloat. Yeah. And, people starting out, that's what they usually do. That's what I advise people do. Just while I have the pulpit, let me say that, hey, guys, if you want to get in the comics industry, don't quit your day job. And if you don't have a day job, find a day job first, because this isn't going to pay the bills right off the bat. It takes a while to develop a strong enough connection where you can get enough consistent work where you can actually, know that you'll be able to make rent and pay for your utilities. And then from there on out, it's just, you get to buy nice stuff for yourself as more and more stuff comes in beyond that.
What about I'll kind of say that. What about the internet aspect of it? How is the internet helped or hindered comics?
Comixology has been the best thing to happen to comics in the last 5 years.
Really?
Aside from, movies making them awesome, the fact that we have companies like Comixology working so hard to develop a very dependable, sort of an iTunes like distribution service
Hmm.
that is all about the comics. And they do an amazing job at keeping track of stuff and, most importantly, compensating the artists and giving them as big of a cut as they can, because we have some services out there that you can buy comics from digitally, but they take a huge cut for themselves. Comixology gives a big cut to the artists and the creators.
Dang.
Yeah. So they are a beautiful bunch of people over there. I highly recommend them. And they keep track of your stuff. It's DRM free. It's the way comics should be distributed. It's like the Steam of the comics industry, where
Noted.
it's so easy and so convenient, but they do such a good job at cross-referencing other comics based upon your browsing and purchasing history, that you can just have a constant stream of comics flowing in. And they even showcase a bunch of free stuff as well. So if you want free comics just to scope stuff out and find new artists, there you go. It's all right there, and there's a lot of good free stuff.
Wow. That's.
It's
I
like,
think you just put it best. Comixology is the best thing to happen to them, or to the comic industry in the past 5 years.
yeah. So, the conversion from traditional to digital, I mean, yeah, it's nice to have like the paper edges and stuff there though. And you know, there's something charming about having the print version, and that you can actually build a collection. And as long as there are going to be collectors, and as long as there's like a wheeling and dealing racket going on with comics, between, you know, collectors and fans of it, there's always going to be hard print comics. I don't see digital distribution as a threat to it, but I see it as opening up doors for people who otherwise wouldn't get comics for whatever reasons. Maybe they just don't want to make a stop by the comic book store on the way home, or they don't even know where a comic book store is nearby them. Or
Which
maybe,
happens.
yeah, or maybe in my case, I just don't have room to store the thousands of comics that I have accumulated. I am literally out of room. I have so many comics. If you guys want comics, personally message me and we'll figure something out. I need to get rid of these things. If the heat goes out, we're going to have a lot of kindling.
Well, that's a good way to look at it, is it not?
Yeah, there you go. You should always get the hard copy in case the heat goes out and you need to make a fire.
Start with the crappy stuff first.
Yeah, because if you go digital, your iPad doesn't burn so well. I tried.
Maybe you just weren't trying hard enough.
Yeah.
All right. We do. I just got word. We will have to be wrapping up here shortly, folks. So we'll get two more questions. We'll go until I don't even know how far. I'm just going to ask a few more questions and kind of stop at about 10 after.
All right, and guys, throw in a really crazy, silly, stupid question in there too. I want to answer
All
one
right.
of
You want
those.
stupid ones? I'll look for them.
Let's do a stupid question challenge.
All right. I threw one last advertisement for him. So I'll give it about a minute to go through. And then I'll find one.
So as for you, what comics are you into? You follow that stuff?
I actually never got into comics because I live in a podunk town where there's no comic book store,
Hmm.
and so comics were a rarity, and most of them were just those PSA types from school.
Ugh,
Yep.
yeah.
So I
Gotta say, people talk a lot of garbage about, the DARE program, about how it coerces kids to actually do drugs instead of stay away from drugs. You
yep.
know what DARE almost did to me? It almost coerced me away from comics, because I was like, comics aren't funny. These are dumb. I never want to read another comic again.
So what got you back into them?
Uh, oh, I really don't want to say. It was Sonic.
Fair
Ugh.
enough.
I was in middle school. I had a perfectly good excuse, but I used to read the Sonic the Hedgehog comics way back in the day, because I thought Sally was kind of cute.
You make that
And then
sound
I,
bad
and then because it sounds weird to me now.
because of what it's become, or what?
A little of column A and a little of column E.
Fair enough.
I understand that the Sonic fandom is way different than what it was way back then. I do feel really bad for people who have to put up with the current state of it
uh,
because I hear stories, and when I hear stories,
you hear stories.
I freak out a little bit when I saw him in Wreck-It Ralph, but yeah, yes, I, there was also that cartoon series with Jaleel White that came out, and we shall never recover from that.
Well, actually, if I recall right, wasn't Sonic Sat AM actually good?
Yes, the Saturday morning cartoon was amazingly good, but the one that was in the afternoon, the one that like played all the time, was
Yep.
the one that seems to be remembered nowadays because it didn't get canceled before it got amazing.
Yep.
Because I remember how the last one ended. It's like everything is resolved. But, wow, we got this really awesome looking villain. Burnt, canceled.
What a crime.
I know.
All right. We have how crazy are you willing to go?
That's a very good question, and I think I have almost found my limit, except for the fact that I actually crossed that line, and it is a image that I did for a punk rock cover involving two of history's most famous bishies, of course, St. Peter and Jesus Christ, and it is an image that my family shall never, ever, ever hear about, and I will never post it anywhere ever.
I'm not going to ask beyond that.
That is a very good idea.
Oh, you said crazy.
That one was pretty crazy. That was out there.
Uh,
I have done I guess the craziest one that I'm proud of would be the one that's like a reimagining of the Fantastic Four, except it's the Thing is who was it? It was Apocalypse from Superman, and Mr. Fantastic, the stretchy guy, was Majin Buu from Dragon Ball.
that image, I love that image so
Yes.
much.
And who was the Human Torch? It was Scorpion
Scorpion from
from
Mortal Kombat.
And my favorite one was the Invisible Woman was Predator.
Because why not?
So we have this very so we have Predator with a very effeminate looking figure with the Coke bottle silhouette. I couldn't believe that. It took me a second to put together the Invisible Woman and Predator because Predator goes invisible. I couldn't believe that when I saw it. It's like I don't care what you say. I'm live streaming this right now, and I jumped on my journal, and I just remember I have my usual format of just like announcing the live stream. I put down the date and the time of day. It's like Saturday evening live stream, and then put down the usual things. On this one, I was just like, you dopes don't even know what I'm working on right now. You wouldn't believe what I have in front of me. And it was a fun live stream session. And I love getting stuff like that. I love getting stuff like that. Just stuff that's so crazy.
Okay, I've got a question for you. Nittany Discord asks, would you like me to be your sexy maid?
Yes. Wait, is that male or female?
It's a he.
Oh, okay. Yes, but I'm not paying you.
Ken Colt asks, in the relative parallel relationship between Twilight Sparkle and Doctor Strange, consider the difference between their respective styles of magic. Who would win a taco eating contest? Twilight is permitted to choose tofu, but Steven is limited to fish and beef.
Well, here's the problem, is that when they're both done, there are no tacos left, so whoever wins, we lose.
What else? Ooh, here's a weird one. Iwa asks, Would you date the female version of yourself?
I would date the any version of myself. I'm awesome like that.
I love
Ladies,
that answer.
ladies, any takers? Huh? No? Huh. Well, I guess I just have an odd taste in women then. Those
My
are great
brony.
questions.
Go ahead.
Those are great questions, by the way.
My brony side asks, what would a pony version of yourself look like?
Well, I thought of a pony Sona before, and it would be Earth Pony, very boring looking because I'm like anti-Mary Sue. So anytime I try to put on any sort of a definitive characteristic, I'm just like, nah, that's too Mary Sue, and just pull it off. I'd be the most boring character ever.
Gray and more gray?
Yeah, gray is close to black, which is kind of Mary Sue, don't you think?
Well, if you're trying to do the cool scheme, then yes.
Yes, I was thinking kind of more of a maroon.
That'd work.
Yep. I would be an invisible pony. I have no features whatsoever.
Fair enough.
I mean, they have them in the show.
Yes.
You just don't see them.
They're called background ponies.
No, invisible ponies. They're everywhere. You just don't see them.
They might be listening. Oh, two more questions. Twilight Sprinkle asks, boxers or briefs?
Oh, gotta go with boxers. It's been hot out here.
And Matt the Shadow Man asks, who's faster, Pinkie Pie or Rainbow Dash?
Well, Rainbow Dash is technically faster, but that's only because Pinkie Pie bends the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So speed means displacement of self, whereas Pinkie Pie means displacement of fabric of space and time.
Kind of one of those, she can move at infinitely fast in finite time.
Yeah, pretty much. That's some pretty Stephen Hawking stuff right there. I like that. Has anybody drawn Stephen Hawking as Pinkie Pie?
That wouldn't surprise me.
Well, what do they say? If it exists, there's pony of it.
There is a pony of it. All right, we do have to wrap this up here. So, Vest, do you have any last words?
Thanks everyone for chilling with us and for having a damn good time with all of us. I hope for all of you this was an afternoon well spent because I know it was for me.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. For all of us here at Babble with Bronies, we'd like to thank you, Vest, for coming. I'm more than tickled that you came.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
For all of you, for my audience, I'd like to thank you for coming on behalf of myself, Mr. Ben, and Twilight is Magic. Next week, we are going to continue our episode critique with Luna Eclipsed. So if that's your favorite episode or even your least favorite episode, stop on by as we're going to have quite a bit to talk about there. In the meantime, farewell.
Yep, take it easy, you fat cat. Keep it dapper.
Hold the phone.